It appears that this year's festival was another record breaker. This may have topped all previous festivals in the past as far as income. But also, it was also very smooth, it seemed. Everything was very beautiful. And I too, want to thank you. And as I mentioned in the listserv, this year was different in how much I appreciated the work you did. I don't know, even to the smallest detail, I was watching you, and very, very impressive. Normally, I get attacked by people at the festival about our faith. For some reason, people think they can either come to me or to one of our parishioners and start, why do you do this? Why do you fast? Why don't you just go to Jesus? Why do you have to have Mary? And these kind of things. But this year, I did not have that. I'm happy to say. I did walk in on a group of Roman Catholics, but I don't know what it is. I like the Catholic Church. I really do. Thank God. And I said, among all the churches that have been splintered and all the chaos that's going out there now, 30,000 denominations, of all the divisions, one is the most sorrowful, and that is between us and the Catholics. We should be one. And I told them this. Same priesthood, same sacraments, the same creed except for one word. And if it wasn't for us being a little arrogant, they would change it the next day. I'm telling you, I've talked to people at the top about this in the Catholic world. Father, we would change it tomorrow if the Greeks didn't say we made a mistake. Anyway, so I had no problems at the festival. But I'll tell you, we've had problems, not problems, but challenges here. We had a Muslim come in and talk about Allah, and we had a Catholic person come in here and put little novena prayers in each of the pews, and I go, what is this? And then I get a call from some evangelical group that said, are you going to march with us and save the lost? And I said, let me stop you right there. We don't use this language, as if we're better than anybody. To save the lost. What are the lost? How are you not sure that you're lost? And me? Well, maybe the language is different. Well, what do you want me to pray for you? You pray for my brokenness. No, I'm not going to join you on your march for the salvation of others. Salvation is so different. It's such a different concept in Orthodoxy. I'm sorry that sometimes I lash out like this, and I'm sorry, and I pay for it from a few of you, and honestly, I'm sorry, but if I wasn't a priest, and if I wasn't a shepherd, then okay, do what you want, I don't care. But you are my little sheep. And I care what's out there. Why are you giving half-truths to my people? There was a high school teacher of mine, Mr. Costello, just a prince of a man, great man, tried to connect with his students, played contemporary music back then. It was the Beatles, and so he would play it, and he'd say, well, what do you guys think of this? And he would try to get us to think, and he would, and then there's one girl said, Mr. Costello, is this going to be on the exam? That's how I think of salvation. I'm already saved. What else? What do you mean? It was Professor Verhofsky at St. Vladimir's who told the young seminarian at the time, Father Thomas Hopko, who became Father Thomas Hopko of blessed memory. His first day in class, Father Hopko's first day in class, the seminarian, and he hears this big Russian, Professor Verhovsky. I've told some of you this before. And the first thing he says, first class, we must avoid this abominable preoccupation with salvation. And this young, world-class theologian who has become that, Father Thomas Hopko, a seminarian, said, excuse me, but isn't that what it's all about? He said, it is, but we cannot think of salvation just as if it's the bottom line. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, I'm good for the rest of my life. No way. That is not the way we think. Salvation for us is a mystery. It's a struggle. It involves suffering, the co-suffering love of Jesus Christ with his holy cross. It's not just some formula. There's these books, and I hope maybe we could get them in the bookstore or something, the Desert Fathers. I love these little stories. Little stories about the Desert Fathers, their struggles, a little story. And then there's this one story I saw. It said, Abba so-and-so, I can't remember his name, Abba so-and-so struggled with the passion of anger for 14 years. Period. End of story, next story. What is that? What? Is there a struggle to participate in your own salvation? This man saw within himself that he wasn't right. And he didn't even think about, am I saved? I'm not worried about that. I'm wondering why I don't love the Lord. I am not behaving like a man who loves the Lord. What do you mean I'm saved? Don't tell me that. I'm angry. For 14 years I've been fighting this thing and I'm getting nowhere. I love that story. Abba so-and-so struggled with the passion of anger for 14 years because he loved the Lord and he was seeing this passion in him that was killing him, and it was killing his relationship with Jesus. And he would be the last to tell you, oh, I'm saved, no problem. I want to read this from an author, a Greek author, Nikos Katsantzakis, who is not in good standing with the church. He has passed away, and I think he was buried outside of the church because of the Last Temptation of Christ. Some of you heard it, but boy, did I love that book. That book was responsible, had a big influence for me pursuing the spiritual life. I want you to hear this. The dual substance of Christ, the yearning, so human, so superhuman, of man to attain God, or more exactly, to return to God and identify himself as he has always been, deep, inscrutable mystery to me. The nostalgia for God, at once so mysterious and so real, has opened in me large wounds and large flowing springs. My principal anguish and the source of all my joys and sorrows from my youth onward has been the incessant, merciless battle between the spirit and my flesh. Within me are the dark, immemorial forces of the evil one, human and pre-human. Within me, too, are the luminous forces, human and pre-human, of God. And my soul is the arena where these two armies have clashed. The anguish has been intense. I loved my body, and I did not want it to perish. I loved my soul, and did not want it to decay. I have fought to reconcile these two primordial forces, which are so contrary to one another, to make them realize they are not enemies, but rather fellow workers, so that they might rejoice in their harmony, and so that they may rejoice with them, that I may rejoice with them. Every man partakes of the divine nature in both his spirit and his flesh. This is why the mystery of Christ is not simply a mystery for a particular creed, it is universal. The struggle between man and God breaks out in everyone, together with a longing for reconciliation. Most often, this struggle is unconscious and short-lived. A weak soul does not have the endurance to resist the flesh for very long. It grows heavy, becomes flesh itself, and the contest ends. But among responsible men, men who keep their eyes riveted day and night upon the supreme duty, the conflict between flesh and spirit breaks out mercilessly and may last until death. Our salvation is a battle for the good and evil in us. If you are to come after me, you may have need of many toils and many dangers. For although it is in my power as Son of God to hinder you from having any trial at all, such is not my will for your sake, in order that you yourself may contribute something and be more approved. I'm going to quote one final non-Orthodox person, but I loved it. Robert Browning. I walked a mile with pleasure. She chatted all the way, but left me none the wiser for all that she had to say. I walked a mile with sorrow and never said a word that she said. But oh, the things I learned from her when sorrow walked with me. My friends, in today's gospel, the Lord said, if anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. It's one thing to believe in Jesus. That's nice, but that is so embryonic, so kindergarten. We've got to move beyond that. And if anyone keeps you in that or attracts you to that, I'm going to tear my hair out and go crazy. Ascend, my brothers, ascend. You're called to something greater than just belief. You're called to follow. God bless you today. Amen.